Speaker Khan, could we ask you about your...
This was Khan's arrival at the Security Council earlier Tuesday, head bowed as he ignored journalists' questions about the ICC investigations into alleged crimes committed in the occupied Palestinian territories, including since Hamas's attack on October 7th. Inside the chamber, he was pressed by member states, among them Algeria, that expressed the view that criminal prosecutions should not be politicized.
We also hope that the assistance provided by the members of the Council to the work of the ICC will also cover other issues in light of the threats that the court faces during its investigations into cases relating to crimes related to the Israeli occupation. We hope that the ICC will also take a serious approach to the situation in Gaza and the Palestinian territories. This is necessary in order for the ICC to demonstrate that it is not a tool used by some members of the international community to threaten whoever they want, whenever they want. We must emphasize the need to avoid any double standards in this sense.
Libya's envoy in the Council on matters pertaining to his own country also criticized the slow work of the court.
The world expects you, Mr. Khan, to prove the point of this ICC, expects you to be courageous and to issue arrest warrants against officials of the Israeli regime who have repeated again and again that they want to commit genocidal actions against Palestinians. The world wants you to discover those involved in the mass graves against, mass crimes against children, the genocide, the ethnic cleansing perpetrated in the Holocaust of the 21st century, the Gaza Holocaust. What are you waiting for, Mr. Khan? The world is wondering, do you need more evidence? Do you need more clues? Don't you see the threats against civilians, the potential threats against civilians in Rafah and the massacre that could happen at any time? This is the actual test of the ICC. Is the ICC politicized or is it independent and neutral?
Russia's representative, whose president is among ICC indictees in relation to the war in Ukraine, called the court a puppet body, which openly served the interests of Western states, accusing it of double standards, illustrative of the tragedy unfolding in Gaza.
Let us recall that the ICC has been conducting a preliminary examination of the situation in Palestine since 2015 and has been conducting a formal investigation since 2021. Yet it has accomplished nothing over these 9 years. In this regard, one wonders if the effectiveness of the ICC on this track is affected by the fact that a new bipartisan bill has been submitted to the U.S. Congress to sanction ICC officials involved in investigating not only the U.S. but also its allies.
Mooted legislation driven by Republican lawmakers in Congress who warned Prosecutor Khan that if he targeted Israel, that they would target him, threatening to move legislation to end all American support for the ICC, sanction their employees and bar them from the United States.
To respond is a blessing and a curse.
The ICC prosecutor was given the right of reply.
Threats against me personally, against the office, to stand down, to cease and desist, we will not be swayed. Whether it's by warrants for my arrest or the arrest of elected officials of the court by the Russian Federation, or whether it's by other elected officials in any other jurisdiction, we have a duty to stand up for justice, to stand up for victims. And I'm fully cognizant that there are Goliaths in this room. There are Goliaths with power, with influence. And we are an international organization that are international servants. And we have something called the law. All I can do is say that we will stand up to the best of our ability. We will stand up and apply the law with integrity, with independence. We are judged either by judges, if there are warrants, by God, or by history. And that applies to me, of course, as much as anybody else. But we are not going to desist, and I welcome no state that is on the right side of history, that is a custodian of the United Nations Charter, should feel they have a privileged position to play fast and loose with the United Nations Charter, or with the international work of the International Criminal Court.
And while speculation abounds, no clarity from the prosecutor on the timeline for any possible warrants in relation to the war in Gaza, amid growing expectations and denunciations in that regard. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.